नावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधो विधीयते तत्त्वबोधो विधीयते। We have advanced into the text. First, we saw that there was something called Anubandha Chatushtay. In that Anubandha Chatushtay, we saw who all have the right to for the knowledge, who have the right to know the knowledge. So Adhikari, Visha, what is the knowledge? What is the Samad relationship between them? And what was the purpose? All this was explained in that Adhikari, Sambandh, Prayojan and Vishay, all the four were seen. Then we came into Adhikari Prakaran, and in that, before that, we saw, yes, Adhikari Prakaran. In that, we saw Sadhana Chatushtayam. What are the fourfold qualifications of that Adhikari? So that Adhikari that was described in Anubandha Chatushtay, he has to have fourfold qualifications. What are those? Those are Nitya Nityavastu Veka. First was Vivek, second was Vairagya, then it was Shamadhi, Shat Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. Then we again went further into it. It was explained what was Vivek, what was Virag, what was Shamadhi, Sadhana Sampatti, Shamadam, Uparati, Titiksha, and then Shraddha and Samadhan was seen. Then the last one, Mumukshutvam, was seen. These four were the fourfold qualities. Sadhan Chatushtayam. Keep on revising, going back forth and forward. Otherwise, we will forget whatever we have seen in the past. Then we came into Tattva Vivek Prakaran, the second chapter, that was inquiry into the truth. What is that Tattva? What were the main subject, main topic of this book, Tattva, what was that? Then the description started about what is Tattva. Then the topic started with description of Mithya and Satya. So whatever is seen in this world is Mithya. And apart from that, only Atma is Satyam. Apart from that, everything is Mithya. Then it was described what is Atma. So we came to the procedure called Vivek, where we were Panchakoshatita, the Stula Sukshma Sharir, Stula Sukshma Karan Sharirat Vyatirekta. We were describing, we were negating the things that Atma is not. So we have superimposed some qualities on that Atma, like we feel that we are this body, We are the Panchakosh, five sheets. Then we feel that we are undergoing all the three states. So the first thing was in that process was to negate what we are not. And after that, the fourth word given was Satchidananda Swarupasa. What is it? The nature of that was given as Satchidananda Swarupaha. That was the that was the Swarup Lakshan. We also saw two words called Swarup Lakshan and Tatastha Lakshan in that. Then we came to what is Sthula Shariram. What was that? It was made up of five elements. And what was the efficient cause of that? It was Satkarmajanya. Vidyaman Karma was added to it. And what was the purpose of it? Purpose was to enjoy or to undergo the sorrows and joys of that jeev, of that shariram. And it had got, what was the nature of that? It has got sixfold modifications. Asti, Jayate, Vardhate, Viparinate, Apakshiyate, and Vinashyate. These, whatever is prepared, not only for the body, but whatever is created in this world that has these six types of modifications in them. Then we came to Sukshma Sharir. What was that? Sukshma Sharir. Now we are under this topic only of Sukshma Sharir. This is a very interesting topic because this Sukshma Sharir only proves our rebirth. This proves the fruit of action, the Karma Phal Siddhant is proved by this Sukshma Sharir only. So we should take this seriously. This is being talking about us only. So it's not something else in some third person. It is us it is being talked about. The Sukshma Sharir is what it has got 17 components in it. What are those 17 components? The 17 components are five sense organs of perception, five sense organs of action, five pranas, and mind and buddhi. So here, when you are taking man and buddhi, we have to include all the four. Today will go into this topic only. So here the Sukshma Sharir that was made up of the material cause was a Panchikrit Panchamahabhut. Why Apanchikrit Panchamahabhut? Because they are in their nascent form, they're not mixed in certain proportion. Panchikaran means they get the five elements get mixed up in a particular composition, in a particular ratio, and that is why they are visible or they are perceived by our sense organs. But when these apanchikrit Panchamahabhut are spoken of, they are not mixed, and that is why we are not able to perceive them. Like our mind, we know that it is there, but we cannot perceive that. So the apanchikrit Panchamahabhut is the material cause of this Sukshma Sharir. And what was the efficient cause? It was again Satkarma Janya. It was a Satkarma only. And here the purpose was Sukha Dukkhati Bhoga Sadhanam, because all the perceptions, all the feelings, all the emotions are only through our subtle body only, not only through gross body. That is the house, that is the instrument to house these sense organs. The outside body is to house the sense organs. The sense organs are the powers, and outside body are the sockets where these powers are sitting. They have their seats there available, from where they get activated. The eyes, outside eyes that we see, these are sockets, but the power inside that belongs to the subtle body. So all the parts, we have all these powers in our body in the form of five sense organs of perception, five sense organs of action, five pranas, and man and buddhi. So these 17 components, they compose the subtle body. Now we were here. And yes, we also saw what was Pancha Jnanendriya last time. We covered the topic of Pancha Jnanendriya. So Pancha Jnanendriya was an interesting topic. So these powers, they are not visible. So powers are not visible, but the powers are there. We can make out. When do we make it out? When we see the effect of those powers. Like the electricity is a power, it is not visible. But when we see the fan moving, when we see the lights are on, we infer that the electricity is there. So in this way, the power is there inside us in the form of various 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 sockets are there that work for taking the perception from outside to inside. In this way, we had seen this organs of perception. Then came the topic of devtas. Why do we need devtas? Now our question answer session begins. Why do we need devtas? Tell me. I've unmuted you all. Why do we need that? Why didn't they just leave it alone like that? It was fine with the powers. Why do we need devtas? Why was the topic of devtas brought in?
He knows both the facilitator.
Say again.
He's the power and common. There should be something common here, and he knows he's the facilitator.
Facilitator, okay. Facilitator of what? He's the common point between what? You're right.
Point.
He's the common factor between what?
Factor also. I mean the inner and the outer, both
Yes.
the.
Yes, right. The inner and the outer. There were three words that we had coined last time. It was Adibhut, Adidev, and Adiyagya. Remember? So here when we go to the third paragraph, it told us the Vishaya, Shotrasya Vishaya, Shabda Grahanam. So the Vishaya that is outside. So to bring in those Vishaya from outside to inside, Adhyatma means inside in the form of vrittis, in the form of thoughts. So when I'm looking at you, when I'm seeing you, or when I'm hearing you, hearing your words, those words are not directly going into my mind. How are they going? They are being transferred in the form of thoughts, in the form of vrittis, isn't it? So the vrittis, who is the facilitator of those vrittis? Who will make those vishaya transform into vrittis? That is the adhidaiva. In between, it is taking the outside vishaya into the inside mind, inside perception. This ear has got the power behind this. The ears is the power that will hear the words that are being spoken. So there has to be something common when knowledge is taking place. That common factor is that devta, because we saw that the power is inert in itself, and anything inert that does not have the capacity to move or to create or to know itself or to know others, it does not have. It is inert. So when there is sentiency, when we are knowing something, there has to be sentient power that has been borrowed by the sense organs. So that is the Adhideva here. So this Adhidev, what does it do? This Adhidev is a facilitator to bring in, to join, to conjoin the outside with the inside. Adhibhut and Adhiyagya. That is the responsibility or the duty or of the Devata, Adhideva. So who was the Devata of Shrotra and why? First, who was the Devata of Shrotra and why? See and tell me, who is the Devata of Shrotra? You must have books with you.
Agni Amma.
No. Shrotra, the ears.
Yeah, Dig Devata.
Dig Devata. Dig Devata means what? Translate. Dig Devata means direction.
Directions.
Direction. So the Devta of direction. Is it this? Is it the same as space? Is it the same as space?
No.
No,
Space.
it's not. Space is different.
Agni. Space Agni.
Space is different. Yeah, space is different. Space and direction both are
Oh,
different,
space. Ah.
isn't it? Space is different and direction is different. Direction, when we say that we need to give direction, direction is in space. Okay, so here when the words are being spoken, the it has got some direction because wherever there is speed, wherever there is a movement, there has to be some direction. So the space is everywhere. But here direction has been spoken because the words need direction, directed towards somebody. So here the Devta has been the direction. Then the second one was Swacho Vayuhu. Swacho Vayuhu. Why? Why do we need Vayu as Swak Devta? Why? What does Vayu do? It is all logical. Come on. We feel the pressure. We feel the pressure due to Vayu only. And that is why we can sense the softness or hardness or whatever, heat, cold, whatever. Everything is due to, the touch is due to the Vayu. So that is why Vayu is the Devta there. Then Chakshusha Surya, you haven't revised it all. Chakshusha Surya. Why do we need Surya Devta here for Chakshuhu? Hmm? Why do we need Surya Devta? What does light mean?
Tukale.
Ang sense, দেখা bukan sabo para seeing.
For seeing. For seeing what? For seeing
Form and
Form.
color.
Form and
forms,
colors.
yes, shape, colors. So what does that Surya Devta do? How is it working? How is it connecting the two, inside and outside? How is it connecting? Surya is outside. How is it connecting the both the objects outside and inside? Outside, it is illuminating that object. Inside, it is illuminating the power. It is giving sentiency to the power inside the eyes. In this way, that outside form is visible through the vrittis, through the thoughts inside our mind. It's so simple, just connect. Rasnayaha Varunaha. Why Varunaha? Why Varunaha? For taste, why do we need Varun? Varun Devta is Devta of water. Why do we need that? Because the tongue is wet, the saliva is there. That is why we need water. Unless the water element is there, we cannot taste. Granasya Ashvino. Granasya Ashvino. For sense organs of Ghan, for sense organs of smell, we need Ashwini Kumar, both of them. The see Ghan and Pran in Kenopanishad, in the Bhashya, it has been said by Bhashikar, by Bhagwan Bhashikar, who is the writer of this Tattva Bodh also. He has said that the Ghan and Pran means one only. When we say smelling, can you smell without pran? We have to inhale and then only we can perceive that ghan, the fragrance or the foul smell, whatever. So unless there is pran, there cannot be ghan. So ghan and pran, they have said there that it is the same thing because without inhaling, you cannot smell. Okay, so here ghan devta ghanasya ashvina iti jnanendriya devataha. And then in the last paragraph, it was mentioned what are the different objects of perception of all the various sense organs. So Vishaya, Shrotrasya Vishaya, Shabda Granam, Shabda. Then Sparsha for the touch, for the twak, for the skin. It was The object was touch. Then Shabda Sparsha Rasa. Shabda Sparsha Roop. Chakshusha Vishaya Rupa. Whatever is the shape outside, form, color, all that. Then Rasa Grahanam, Rasanayaha. Then the object of our tongue was Rasa Grahanam, taste. Then Pranasya Vishaya Gandha Grahanam. Smelling was the object of this nose. Okay, so these were the 5 things. Now we come to the sense organs of action. First, let me tell you, first let us go to the Antahkaran. We have left one word here, 2 words, Manaschaikam, Buddhishchaika. We'll come to this later on. Manaschaikam, Buddhishchaika. So, here first let me tell you that there is something called Antahkaran Chatushtay. It's a very interesting topic. There is something called Antahkaran Chatushtay. This Antahkaran, the mind, you can say mind stuff, that mind stuff has been divided into 4 categories. And the material cause being the same of all the 4. What is the material cause of all the 4? The material cause is the thought. The thoughts make that mind stuff. The functions are different, and as per the functions, it has been given 4 names. First one is Mana, then is Buddhi, then is Chitta, then is Ahankar. Mind, intellect, memory. Chitta means memory, and Ahankar means ego. So these are 4-fold. Antahkaran, 4 components of that mind stuff, you can say Antahkaran. Antahkaran. So now the material cause, remember the material, like we have our hands, we have our fingers, we have pliable fingers. We use this in various works. We use it in various actions. We use it in various mudras. We can do so many actions with our hands, isn't it? We can write, we can feed, we can eat, and we can cook, we can dance, we can show various mudras. So there are so many things that we can do. We can perform art. So there are so many functions of the same hand. Similarly, the mind has thought flow in it, but those thought flows according to various functions has been categorized into 4. What are those 4? Man, Buddhi, Chitta, and Ahankar. So the first one is mind. Mana. What is Mana? Man means what? There is a function of the mind that has the capacity to give you options. There's a capacity in your mind, in our mind, which gives us options. It points options. This can be also done, that can be also done. And because we have got options, we have a choice that we can do this thing or that thing. We can do good or we can do bad. We can opt for any of those options. It depends on us. So this mind, sankalpa vikalpatmakaha manaha. The definition of mind is sankalpa vikalpatmakaha mana. It can give us sankalp or vikalp, options. It is pointing options to us. So mind gets the information first, and then what happens? It first receives the information, and then it will give us options. Every perception starts with the mind. Every perception starts with the mind only. So then when the thoughts are in the state of that perception, there that option is being given by the mind. That is called sankalp vikalpatmakaha manaha. You have option. You can choose between those options. Okay. Now, when this mind has got options, there comes another aspect of that mind which needs to come to some conclusion. It needs to come to some decision. And that is why when we are going to conclude something, it will refer to its files. So the buddhi is the one that comes to conclusion. It comes to some decision. But before that, it will refer to its file that is called the memory, the chitta. It's like a compact cupboard and you have stacked files in it. And those files are being referred. It's like an office. So the buddhi will go to those cabinets and will take out for references. It will take out those files and try to find out which option should he opt for. It's like that. So when the chitta gives you option, when the chitta gives you files from its memory that last time you had done this, and it was a good decision. So again, you can go for that. Where is that stored? It is stored in the memory. Or the last time you had not done this, and then you had to face consequences, and that is why it is better that this time you go for this option, B option, not C option. A option is not right because the other person had gone for A option and he suffered a lot. That is why I think and we should go for this option. Who's giving these options? Who's giving the files? The chitta is giving the files that has been already stored there in the form of memory. So mind refers experiences of the past, that is from the chitta. Mind won't start unless it wants to come to some conclusion. It wants to decide something. And after reaching that conclusion, then what happens? Then this ego, that ego will say that this is my decision. That is not that pride ego. There has to be somebody who's the holder of those decisions. There has to be somebody who says that these decisions are mine. These thoughts are mine. Because remember, all of these things are nothing but thoughts, different functions of the same thoughts. Okay, so secret of success of a person is what? Secret of success is how many files he can refer. Maturity is what? Maturity is this only. We are referring to the past, or he can see, he can foresee, you can say, okay, he can foresee through others' experiences, or that he hasn't experienced, that through his memory, through his chitta, he can experiences those beforehand, he can foresee. And that is called maturity. So the success of a person is he goes to chitta. And from there he takes out the files and then he refers and then he comes to decision. No decision should be taken unless our files are referred. Unless the files are referred, if we take any decision, then we again have to, we feel bad about it later on. We feel, why did we do this? That was in a hurry. That spur of emotion, a spur of emotions. I just did it. I shouldn't have done that. I should have referred or I should have waited. And that is why it is said, when you're angry, don't take any decision. When you're angry, don't write a mail, don't write a letter, don't come to some conclusion. Don't talk, just be quiet. Let that emotion, let that gush flow away, pass away. So more you can refer, more you can decide clearly. Anger is what? Anger, anger won't grow unless we refer to wrong files. What are we doing? We are referring to some files of a person that shows the disqualifications or bad points or bad character or something has been wronged to us by that person, and we are referring to those files, and then our anger gets on increasing. Actually, those are not right files. What should be the right file? The right file should be that, yes, I see everything in a bigger picture. I see that person from my perspective. from his perspective. I put myself in his shoes and then try to see maybe this was the point. That is why he did like that, and that is why I should not get angry because I also have done so many things wrong and so many times. So here I should forgive that person. So when we are referring to wrong files, what happens? Referring to wrong files means wrong memories, and then that mental phase will come where we will be lashed by our decisions because nothing because whatever the mind is such a place, mind is like a kitchen. It's such a place that whatever you cook, you only have to eat it. So even the decisions that we make, we only have to face the trumpet, we have to face the music, because we had taken the decision. It is our decision. So always, whenever we are taking, we are concluding, we want some solution from the mind. We should first see that the mind is not overpowered by some vasana, by some anger, by some other emotion. Because in that fervor of emotion, we come to some conclusion and later on we repent. Why did we do like this? It should not have been done. Why I said those words? That those words should not have been uttered at all. It's not right. So the mind should not be overpowered by the vasanas, but it should be overpowered by the intellect. When the mind overpowers the intellect, we call him a weak person. Opposite. When the mind is overpowering the intellect, the same person, we call him immature. We call him weak person, weak-minded. Because he's not able to refer the files. He's not able to refer his past experiences. Neither he wants to refer to some mature person around him. He feels that whatever he is doing is correct. This is called immaturity. So whenever he'll come to some decision, what will happen? He will have to repent later on. Okay, so mind is what? Mind gives us options. Mind gives us options, but we should not cooperate with the instinctive options of that mind. Those instinctive options that the mind gives us, the vasanic options that the mind gives us, we should try to sublimate those. Later on, we'll see. First and foremost, the knowledge should come up through the chitta, through the buddhi, and then we should come to some conclusion. Otherwise, if my vasana is pressurizing me, instincts are pressurizing me, then our decision won't be right. So files in the memory should be referred first. What happens even if my decision is wrong? Suppose my decision is wrong. I didn't know about this project or the work that I have taken in my hand, and I have taken some wrong decision. Okay, fine. I have taken some wrong decision. I'll face it. I'll face it as a challenge. I'll take it as a challenge. What will happen? I will correct my file inside. Otherwise, I wouldn't have corrected that also. At least here, when that ahankar says, no, it was my decision and I have to face it, that ahankar, which is possessor of those thoughts, it will say, no, it was my decision. So it's fine. I'm ready to undergo the consequences. Whatever it is, I'll change my files. I'll change the memory inside my files. So it changes. So either way, it is helping us. Because sometimes it needs clearance of the files also. There are so many files, there are so many things we need to rearrange also in our cabinets and all. So similarly here also, I need to change some things. Okay, fine, I have changed my conclusions and my files have been changed, my memory is changed. So power of referring should be very high. If we don't refer at all, then what happens? Then we have to face the things later on. So buddhi confirms when we refer to some file, then the buddhi comes and confirms, it concludes that yes, I will do this thing. I have decided upon this option. I had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H options. Now I'm going for only A, not the rest of those options. The buddhi is one to confirm all that. Okay. And when we have got other options, like we have got vasanas of calm, we have got vasanas of krodh, at that time, the power to refer to that file is lost. Again, when we have got other emotions, what I was calling instinctive or vasanic options or vasanic pressure, what does it do? It will destroy the faculty of reference to my memory, to my files in the memory, to my files in the chitta. I won't be able to do that. So no correct decision will be taken after because I'm not referring. So I go for some decision and then I regret later on. The pure mind is the one. What is a pure mind? That does not take its own decisions. See, pure mind is the one that does not take its own decisions. Then what does it do? It surrenders to the intellect. That now this is your duty, now this is your power. You go to that cabinet, to the chitta, you take out the files, you sit properly, you decide. I have surrendered to you. When we come to Ramcharitmanas, here this mind is Sugriva's mind. We understand Sugriva's mind? When Sugriva saw that two young, handsome, very powerful, very brilliant people are coming, and he thought that maybe these two people are sent by Bali to kill me, because they were in a disguise. I mean, they were in the form of Muni, and but they were carrying their shastra also, bows and arrows also. So he could not understand, he could not make out who are these people. They are in Muni Vesh, they are in Rishi Vesh, but they are having weapons also. So maybe that they have been sent by Bali. But he did not conclude. What did he do? He surrendered to Hanumanji. He called Hanumanji and he said, go and find out what is the case. This is the surrendered mind. This is Sugriva's mind. That refers to something. It does not conclude through his vasa. He was very scared at that time. Maybe I'll get killed. Because he was running away from here to there. And that is why he was there hiding on that mountain, Rishimukh Parvat. Because he knew Bali won't be able to come there. So he thought because Bali can't come, that is why maybe he has sent somebody else to kill me. But still, he did not conclude and he surrendered to Hanumanji. He thought, let Hanumanji go and find out what is the matter, what is the case. And then Hanumanji went and he also had darshan first time of his Lord Rama. So these faculties should grow in us, that we surrender that mind to that intellect. The intellect should be powerful enough to go and refer when it is quiet. When it is not pressurized by the vasanas, it will go and refer its files to the chitta. So nature of a person, nature or maturity of a person is what his power to refer those files and come to some decision. It is quiet. What will be the what? It will be quietening. The mind will become quiet. The situations around will become quiet. The people around will become quiet. You'll find out later on that the decision I made was very good, apt decision at that point. So same state of mind, when it comes to some decision, it is called buddhi. It concludes. And there has to be somebody who's holder of those thoughts. That is called the ahankar. The ahankar who possesses those thoughts. Because if the sankalp is not possessed, if it's not held, then it will become a weak sankalp, weak resolution that we take on 31st December every year. We take resolutions that we'll do so many things. We'll have to complete so many tasks. We'll do this. We won't do that. We'll exercise every morning. I'll control my diet. I'll get up early in the morning. I'll complete this. I'll complete that. And and after 7 days, everything is gone. Everything is gone. Then I sit and think. I brood. I think what happened. This is the case here. That holder, the sankalp holder, that ahankar was weak, and that is why that sankalp could not be held. So ahankar means what? Aham karoti iti, aham karomi iti bhavah ahankarah. The one who says that I am doing this, that is called ahankar. That is called ahankar. So the holder is weak, we lead the sankalp. So holder should be very strong. As much as we can hold to bigger sankalp, the decisions, everything, that much powerful will be. That much resolute we will be. That much firm we will be. We'll be established in something. Because we are holding on to some sankalp. This is called vratam. This is called niyam. Whatever we are, see, when we go into Rahasashram, what is it? It is holding on to some vratam. What is it? It is holding on to a person, to a family, that this is my family. I belong to them. They belong to me. I don't belong to somebody else. This is a holder. I am in this Brahmacharya ashram. There's a vratam in me that I'm holding to this sankalp. That I'll do swadhyay, I'll have my own swadharma, whatever. I have those things and I have my niyam, I'll hold those niyams. Anything comes in my life, but still I'll hold to that vratam. So the more we are resolute, the more we are firm on our vratam, the more we'll do good, we'll be better, we'll progress more on our journeys. This is the case of ahankar. And there is a negative ahankar also. What is that? When we call a person stubborn. Stubborn. Stubborn means what? Stubborn means he is holding on to some negative thought. No, I have to be angry. No, anger is very helpful. If I don't show my anger, nothing happens. This is all stubbornness. So this is negative aspect of this. So decision has to be held. Otherwise, this decision cannot come to some conclusion. I mean, to give some truth, we have to hold on to these thoughts. Which thoughts? Man, buddhi, and chitta. These are held by this only. So when this is the right decisions are taken, then you all have your Gita. In Gita chapter 17, it says dhritya dharyateya yoga prana manendriya yogena vyabhicharinya sa patha dhriti satviki. Satvik dhriti has been defined there. Satvik dhriti has been defined there as what? Dhrityaya dharyate mana pranendriya kriya. 17 point. Wait, it is now. It is 18. Dhrityaya 33. Dhrityaya dharyate mana pranendriya kriyaha yoge nam vicharinya dhriti sapartha satviki. Their sattvic dhriti has been described by Bhagavan. This is that sattvic ahankar that holds on to the right decisions of the mind, intellect, and chitta, memory. That is called dhriti. So never give up. Like Parvati ji had dhriti. She had decided that she will she has wedded the Lord in her mind and she wants only Lord Shiva, nobody else. So when this when the Saptarshi came and they were luring her to go to Lord Vishnu, that he's so beautiful, you should go. And this Shiva, he does not have a house. He does not. He is always in the Shmashan Bhumi, cremation ground. He does not wear clothes. But look at Narayan Bhagan. He's so beautiful, so handsome, and he's wearing all ornaments, jewelry, and he has got Vaikuntha Lok also. He's got Lakshmi also, everything. So you go for him, not for Lord Shiva. But there she had that Dhriti, this Satvik Dhriti that was holding on. No, I have already taken one decision that I have already surrendered to Lord Shiva and I won't accept anybody else other than him in my life. So this Dhriti helps us in progressing on the Adhyatmic Marg. So as our priority is not fixed, that is why our decision is also golmol. It's not firm at all. We leave our decisions and then uh, sleep nicely. So this is because this ahankar is not firm, not sattvic ahankar. So we stop at the mind level because of our growth, other things, all these things. These are the stoppage, these are the hindrances of our mind where we cannot come to some conclusion. So here we should try to make our man, buddhi, chit and ahankar firm. So what have I told you about all these things? That they are the four mind stuff is made up of four components, man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, and they are all nothing but different functions of the same thoughts. We have named them differently because of their functions, different functions. Mind points options, then the buddhi comes to conclusion. The references are given by the memory, that is called the chitta, and the ahankar is the one who holds aham karomi. I am doing this. These thoughts are mine. The holder is called that ahankar. Okay, so staying with a matured person is very good because he will give us his files also for reference. When we are staying with somebody mature or we are staying with somebody who has the experiences of those things, and that time he will give his references, his files also to us for reference. So we can have those data also ready, or as ready reckoner is there, somebody is giving to you. We can come to some conclusion like that. Okay, so emotions, they work on identification. Emotions, when we are working at the level of emotions, they work on identification. Emotions are at the level of mind. But when we are coming to some conclusion, at that time, when we are trying to conclude, you should not bring those emotions at that time. Keep the emotions separately. This is what I like in Kaushalya Mata's character. Kaushalya ji, when she came to know, when Ramji went to Kaikeyi and Dashrath ji, he saw their state. He came to know about the facts, what was going on. Then he came to give that news to his mother, who did not know anything, who was waiting for the coronation ceremony to be done. So she welcomed him as if he's going to be the prince, he's going to be the king now. So she wanted to feed him. Then the news was broken. Ice breaking session was done. After Ramji told, Kaikeyi didn't cry. First and foremost, she gave her decision. She said, no, if your father and your mother both have agreed that you should go to the forest, that forest is equivalent to more than 1,000 ayodhyas for you, and I agree that you should go. Only if your father had given you this order, then I would have intervened and I would have said that no, this is not right. But when they both are wanting you to go, then you should go. After this decision was taken by the buddhi, after that, the emotions came. Emotions engulfed her. Now she started crying. Before that, she did cry. First, she took a decision. Afterwards, she told Ram that I also want to accompany you. How will you go alone? What will I do here? What is my duty here? I don't have anything left over here. If you are gone from my life, what should I do? Then she started weeping, crying badly. But before that, she was stable, she was firm. So when we are coming to some conclusion, when we want to conclude something, we should see that our vision is not uh, colored by the emotions or by our vasanas or by the things that we want to do, or it should be done like that. It should not be that. The mind, the buddhi, the intellect should be given complete freedom to come to some conclusion. So intellect works on cause and effect. Intellect is cause hunting. It tries to see the cause, it tries to see the effect. But the mind, it works on emotions, it works on identifications. This is a difference. Okay, the time is over. So now we will come to the sense organs of action. Let's read that paragraph first, and then we can see how much we can cover today. Sense organs of action. So there are 5 sense organs of action. Vak, Pani, Pad, Payupasthaniti, Panchakarmendriyani. The 5 sense organs of action are what? Vak, speech. Pani, hands. Pad, legs. Payu, anus. Upasthani, genitals. These are the 5. Then come similarly, like we saw in the sense organs of perception, here also devtas have been given. So Vacho Devta Vani. The devta of speech is the Agni. Hastayoho Indriya, Indraha. Hastayo, 2 hands. That is why Dvivachan has been given there. Hastayoho Indraha. The devta of hands is the Indra. Padayoho, 2 feet. That is why again Dvivachan has been used. Padayo Vishnu. The Lord of the devta of feet is Vishnu. Payoho Mrityuhu. The devta of anus is Yamraj, Mrityu. Then Upasthasya Prajapati. Upasthasya meaning the sense of the genitals. Upasthasya Prajapati Brahmaji. Iti Karmendriya Devataha. These are the devatas of the organs of action. Then Vacho Vishay. Then the Vishay. The 3rd paragraph gives us the Adhibhut. Don't forget that. So whatever the Vishay, the object. What is the object of the function of the vak? It is bhashanam, speech. Then parnyoho vishaya vastu grahanam, to grasp things. Then padayo vishaya gamanam, to movement is the vishaya of pada. Then payoho vishaya malatyagaha, excretion. Well, because things are created, toxic things are created in the body, that needs to be thrown out. Payoho vishaya malatya. Upasthasya vishaya anandaha. This genitals that gives us pleasure. These are the 5 vishaya of this sense organs of action. Okay, so now we will come to the 5 sense organs of action. These are this line is very simple. When we come to Vacho Devta Vani, again Devta of Vak is the Vani, the Agni. That is the Devta of Vak. Why fire? Work of fire is to illuminate. Work of fire is to illuminate. So here it is illuminating. See, when we are talking in Sanskrit, Sanskrit has got 3 Purush. Like in English, we have first person, second person, third person. Isn't it? Similarly, here also we have 3 Purush. Pratham Purush, Madhyam Purush, and Uttam Purush. So when I am talking to you, I am the Uttam Purush. I am the Uttam Purush, you are the Madhyam Purush. But it's not like in English, we suppose we are talking about somebody else. We are talking about, suppose we are talking about some other person. So in English, we'll say third person. But here in Sanskrit, we call him Pratham Purush. It's not third person. It is Pratham Purush. Why is it that? Because the topic should be illuminating. The topic should be very, very knowledgeable or knowledge giving, illuminating. It should not be a dull topic or some negative topic. That is why it is called Pratham Purush. Whatever we are talking should be of weight or carrying some weight. It should be illuminating. And I am who? I am the Uttam Purush. So I should behave like that I am the Uttam Purush. And the person who's listening, he is also Madhyam Purush. So the topic of your talk or the topic of your speech should be first class. It should not be medium or it should not be third class. So that is why it is called Uttam Purush here. So this is where Agni is required. Agni is required here because the second Purush also is important here, because I should not be a source of disturbance to that person, or that person also should not be a source of disturbance to me. That one is also important. So here Madhyam Purush is also important. I should have some goodness in me. That is my Uttam Purush. So when we are talking about this Devta Vani, the Agni has got 3 qualities in it. Tell me, what are the 3 qualities of Agni?
ऊर्ध्वमुखी होते हैं,
Urdhvamukhi, very good.
ऊर्ध्वमुखी प्रज्वलित करते हैं,
Yes, it enlightens.
enlightens,
Heat.
Heat, it burns, you can say. Okay.
knowledge,
So,
give knowledge.
yes, it gives knowledge, illuminating. So it is Urdhvamukhi. It goes from bottom to top. It goes from down to up. So similarly, our thoughts also should be like that. How should be our thoughts? Our thoughts should not go from top to bottom, like the water flows from up to lower level. Should not be like that. So our thoughts also, our speech should be illuminating. It should go from down to up. It should illuminate. It should instill some enthusiasm or boost up somebody's sagging thoughts or depressing thoughts. If a person has come, he's already sad, and I also give my sadness also onto him. That's not Vacho Vani Devata. Okay, so our thoughts should be illuminating. It should be with some knowledge, like that Agni. It should burn the impurities, like that this thing has, the Agni has. It burns the impurities. And one more point is left. It is Durdharsha, indomitable. Like we say, that is why in English there is one phrase uses, his speech is fiery. What is that? That means Durdharshata, indomitable speech. The fire, you cannot leave it like that without, you cannot neglect it. Even if there is one small diya in the corner, lamp is there, oil lamp is there, lit in the corner, still your attention will go towards that lamp. So the qualities are Urdhvamukhi, Durdharsha, Prakashmay, it's illuminating, it gives us purity. So all these qualities of that fire should be in us also when we are speaking, when we are talking. Okay, so how to increase all these qualities? Through puja, through upasana, through various vratam. He should hold on to this power of Agni in him. And that is why Agni has been praised in our Shrutis also, in Vedas also. First mantras, first Shruti mantra, Rigveda. It says Agni Mile Purohita. Then in Rudrashtakam also we can Agna Vishnu Sajosha Sema Vardhantu Mam Gira Dimne Baje Dhiragatam. There also Agni has been praised. So Agni Devata, Agni Vacho Devata, Vani. Okay, so there are three types of speeches. One is called Vitanda, one is called Jalpa, and one is called Samvad. Three types. What are they? Jalpa, Vitanda, and Samvad. What we see in Gita, like Shri Krishna Bhagwan and Arjun, they are talking to each other. That is called Samvad. Samvad. And Vitanda means what? Somebody is cutting. You are just, I don't want to listen to you. I'm just cutting you. And Jalpa means when he's talking about oneself, about myself. Atmashlaga. I'm praising myself. That is called Jalpa. Okay. So I think after this is Hastayor Indraha. That topic will take tomorrow. It's very interesting. And later on, we will connect all those things with the 5 elements that will make it more interesting. Okay, but revise everything. Don't get scared of these things. This has been talked about us only, our powers, our everything. But take your attention that this is not Atma. It is something different from my Atma. I am separate from them. When I am speaking, I'm not speaking. The Devata is speaking through the organ of speech. I'm not speaking. That Atma cannot speak because it does not have any organs, does not have any action, does not have anything. So our attention should go there continuously. This is the purpose behind explaining all this. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.